On Friday, September 2nd, I made my annual visit to my home park, Six Flags Great Adventure. The same day, I released a video trashing the new CEO of Six Flags and their general direction as the chain. So let's dive into how the park was running and if there were any noticeable differences made since my last stop in 2021. So let's run through the itinerary for the day first. After arriving around 12 o'clock, we began by grabbing a couple rides on Jersey Devil, then Nitro. Afterwards, we walked over, rode Joker, King Ka, Superman, and Medusa. Afterwards, we got lunch, some walking around, we got some more footage, and then a quick exit around 3 o'clock. Overall, we didn't really feel the need to ride Batman or a few other rides since it's such a familiar park that I visit so often. Now, in terms of how everything was running, I would say it's pretty standard for the rides. Ka was shaky like it usually is, especially in the back. Medusa felt a little bit smoother than normal with the new cleaned up trains, but there was no fire effects, so it felt like something was kind of missing. Jersey Devil was the big standout. It was absolutely hauling. I got to ride it the week it opened last year, and the difference really is staggering. The second half now features strong airtime, where before it had literally nothing. Apparently, the wheel assemblies were completely changed, and the mid-course was definitely hitting a lot less. It was definitely reduced. So overall, this ride is now a close second in the Parque del Toro for me. Now, the park was also completely empty on this Friday afternoon. The only ride that was over a walk-on and was a station wait was Superman, which has the dispatch issues. Everything else was a walk-on. Operations weren't anything special, but every ride did have 2 trains running, which is always appreciated. Now, it was really odd to see rides like King Ka be a walk-on when even on dead days, it's typically a few minutes. Of course, El Toro has been closed, but I didn't expect the park to have the whole area of the ride actually fenced off, which meant you couldn't use that little cutover if you want to go from Medusa to King Ka, which was definitely a little bit annoying because it takes more time to walk all the way back around, but it's understandable. If Toro isn't running, there's really no reason to have that area open and have to put employees there. Now, the food was average as usual, but the park seemed very well staffed for the day, even though there really wasn't a huge guest count. Every store and stand was open, and there really weren't any major lines backed up, which is always a plus. Great Adventure is definitely known for drawing some serious crowds, but it was one of those rare dead days. Now, the park itself definitely felt cleaned up between Medusa, Batman, sporting some new glossy paint, and less people. It was a good looking day in the sun. I really appreciate keeping the coasters in good looking condition. It just improves the vibe of the park personally. In addition, I noticed that a new dining overhang was built between Joker and the center fountain next to the ale house. I'm not sure if these are new to this season or last, but the additional seating and shade are greatly appreciated. Now, I spent some time criticizing the chain's new direction of raising prices, not adding new attractions, and putting a lot of emphasis on park experience. I do have to say, the park felt a little bit more put together than it usually does. I'm not sure if it was a lack of crowds and paint and new furnishings, or visiting for the first time of the year, but I definitely enjoyed it. I still think that the price hikes won't be justified to many guests, but it is yet to be seen if the attendants can really bring in the money that they need. I'm just not a believer in this strategy for Six Flags, especially if they're not going to add major improvements. Now, if you visited the park recently, let me know down below how you felt and if the experience has changed at all since your recent visit. And if you haven't, feel free to ask me whatever down below. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on this park after 18 plus years of visiting at this point. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. So until next time, that's all from the shores of Island Coasters.